Hi Libra, Sun, Moon, Ascendant, or Venus. This is Dane, and I'm going to be doing your September 1st to the 15th, 2021 reading for you. Now I ask if this reading resonates with you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. If you're interested in any of the cards that I'm using, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. Now before we begin this reading, let us clear the energy space, raising our own energy vibration and releasing any negativity. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. Releasing all negativity from the body like storm clouds. Letting yourself feel calm, centered, and at peace as we enter into this safe and loving space. Let's let the bull sing as we see what the tarot has to say. Libra, September 1st to the 15th, 2021, Libra. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Libra. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading and show me clearly. Angels and spirit guides. Angels. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. And show me clearly. Fantastic. At the bottom is our rooted self. The left-hand side is our inner self. The middle, our heart, our emotional self. The right-hand side, the public arena, the public self. So let's see what the cards have to say. We have the Emperor, which is Aries energy. If we're born with Aries within our natal chart, that's going to come through very much as a rooting power during this time. And we have the Sun. So we're claiming our power, our independence. We're finding our voice in a very real way for a lot of us. And there's a sense of the light shining in us brightly, profoundly, and radiantly. It moves us to our inner selves. We have the Six of Pentacles. This is my Minor Arcana Justice card. So this is you in the Minor Arcana. And what this is saying is like we need to find our balance within ourselves and see what is giving and taking too much. We have the Nine of Pentacles, prosperity, joy, needing to be in the moment. We have the Ace of Wands, God, Source, Spirit, however you see the divine, the universe, handing a gift, a passion, creativity, and real dedication. Our inner selves right now are really focused on the here, the now, and what needs to be done. Very focused on the waking world. So that's something that we do need to be mindful of during this time, where if we... the waking world is going to affect us more than we want to believe it is. So being open and honest with ourselves to say, like, you know, okay, this is making me upset, or, you know, this is hitting me harder than it should, somebody's nasty look or somebody's snide remark. We're just going to have to know that we have to be balanced within our own prosperity. It moves us to our inner selves, which we have the King of Swords. We're coming through as kings. We're represented by Justice in the Major Arcana, but by the Swords in the Minor Arcana, and the King is coming up. So that's really quite powerful. We have the Wheel of Fortune. For us, everything is changing as we start to embrace our dreams, follow our dreams, let ourselves be moved and guided by what we dream, what we love, and where it is that we want to be in life. The Ten of Cups, excuse me, for me is, and they all live happily ever after. So we're really looking at that happily ever after for ourselves and what it means. The Page of Pentacles is coming through in the public arena. We're going to be students during this time when it comes to prosperity, money, what we value as much as money. Also, if we have earth sign energy within our natal chart, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, that's going to be coming through very powerfully within the waking world. We have the Tower. There's a lot of change going on. It's not necessarily bad change. It's, semester starting up again, or a new project and work being thrown our way. And we're going to see that divinity is really pushing us out of our comfort zone in a very real, very powerful way that can be overwhelming at times. It leads us to the Hangman. And the Hangman is, we see things differently than everybody else. And when we have the Hangman come into play, we're going to think, oh my gosh, I'm seeing it wrong because it's different. Just because it's different doesn't mean it's wrong at all. And we have to be a little bit kinder to ourselves when we're, excuse me, when we're finding our balance and gaining our understanding. I'm just going to take a sip of water. All right. Now let's look at the energy we need to be mindful of during this time. What is the energy that Libra needs to be mindful of? Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. It's the Queen of Swords. So that's not surprising. We can kind of get in our own way, at times overthink things, overanalyze things, take the things that people say in a really hurtful way, instead of maybe in a constructive way, or in a way like, why does your opinion matter so much to me type of thing. This is also going to be a time where we're really drawn to people with powerful statements, powerful words. We can wrap the person that we're looking at in the words that they have said and say, that's them. But here's the thing, and even Confucius talked about this, that a person is more than just their words, they're also their actions. And so we have to just make sure that we're not looking at what they're saying, we're also looking at what they're doing and how they are moving themselves forward, how they are presenting themselves, what it is that they want. Where is it that they're leading us, and why is it that they're having this effect on us? Looking at our minds, looking at the words that we speak when we're around them, the mindset that we have, that's going to be really important. And also understanding that this person can use words very, very well to ensnare us, to make us feel guilty, to make us feel like we're not doing enough. And that's going to be something that we really need to be aware of. Now let's look at our chakra energy for this time. Angels and spirit guides, show me clearly. Guide this reading. We have the two right here, the soul star chakra located 6 inches above our crown, and the heart chakra. So with the soul star chakra, it says universal light. And this is really saying that we need to embrace and embody our universal light shining forward. What we want from life, where it is that we want to be, what it is that we desire. Knowing that we are a beacon because we have the sun right down here at our rooted self. And then we have forgiveness. With the heart chakra, when we talk about forgiveness, it's not necessarily forgiving somebody else, because that can always seem rather magnanimous. Oh, I forgave that person, or it's like something I have to do. Like, we can also look at forgiveness like, if I don't forgive that person, I'm a bad person because I haven't let it go. Like, I haven't moved on the way that I'm supposed to, or the way that is right. But the thing that we have to do when we look at forgiveness is we have to step back and we have to forgive ourselves. We have to forgive ourselves for not being strong enough to get out of that situation, which doesn't mean that we're blaming ourselves. It can mean that we were very young. It can mean that we didn't have the financial means to leave. It can mean a myriad of things. But what we're doing here is not saying, this is my fault. We're saying, I forgive me. Because so often we carry the anger that we have for ourselves. And we think, I should have known better. I should have done better. I should have seen more. I should have been more. And with forgiveness, it's like, no, I did what I needed to do right here and right now. In this time, in this understanding, and in this power of my heart. If it was the right thing, great. If it wasn't the right thing, great. I've learned. And I can see things more openly and more honestly now and as I move forward. And that's going to be a really big thing. It can also be like, why did I react so volatilely or so explosively to something when it didn't warrant it? Well, what if you were in a really stressful situation? What if it was years upon years upon years of living in a stress situation that was an 8, a 9, a 10, and it was just a boil cake, right? And then you had one more thing put on, and you exploded. That's where the forgiveness needs to come from. It's like, I'm not perfect, and I forgive myself for that. Because a lot of times, especially if we're empathic people, especially if we're trying so hard to juggle everything and be what everybody else needs, we will forgive everybody else, but we will never forgive ourselves. And it's going to be important to say, I forgive me, because we're claiming a throne. And a lot of times, what keeps us from claiming our thrones is to say, well, I'm not as good as everybody else, or I'm not as powerful as everybody else, or I don't have this right, I don't have this beauty, I don't have this understanding. Excuse me. And during this time, it's like, no, nobody's better than you. Okay, you're not better than anybody else, but nobody's better than you. And that's a powerful place to stand. And as we embrace who we are. And as we embrace our throne, we embrace our might, we embrace our warrior mentality. It doesn't mean that we have to be combative people, always out for an argument. It means that I stand with my head held high, shoulders back, in confidence with myself, without the timidity, without the anger, without the fear, without the doubt. And I say, but this is me. And I might mess up. I might absolutely wreck everything. Everything might, fall apart. I get it. But I get to stand in my power, pick up the pieces, and keep on moving forward. Because nothing is perfect. Even if we look at the person that we most admire, we don't know what happens behind closed doors. We don't know how they think about themselves or how they talk to themselves at night. And so here, what we do is we say, I embrace my heart, my soul, myself. I forgive what I cannot change at all. And I claim my power. And it makes it so that the sun shines within us. But because we're on this kind of rocky road, and we can see that here with the tower and with the hangman, we're going to have a hard time to let that light shine forward. And to say, I claim it. Now, the thing with the sun, especially when it is at our root, when we claim it, people go, well, why you and not me? Why do you get to have this blessing and I don't? Why do you get to have the success and I don't? And so our sun, it starts to falter, or people start to kind of stipend it away. And we're going to find here, it's like, no, I claim who I am. I claim my power. I let myself shine through. I let my beauty and my prosperity and my brilliance shine. And that opens up my doors. That opens up me completely. And don't apologize. That's going to be a huge thing during this time, Libra. Don't be such the peacekeeper that you apologize for letting your own gifts shine forward. The Ace of Wands comes in. This is, again, God's source spirit, however you see the divine, the universe, handing gifts of passion, handing gifts of creativity, of insight, of the torch that lights our way and guides us forward. This is the reason why we get out of bed in the morning. And these are new ideas. This is new insight, new understanding, new passion, new brilliance coming forward. And it leads us in the cognitive realm of ourselves, in our own understanding of being and soul and what we desire. It leads us to this place of needing to be in the moment. We can't look even 5 days in the future, and we can't look 5 days in the past. What we have to do is stand in the present, right here and right now, and say, I embrace my prosperity, I embrace my bounty, I embrace my wealth, I claim it. I claim what is mine. I know there will be work to done. I mean, she still has a whole field to get all the crops in. And if you know, medieval farming, it was never certain at all. You could have a rain come through, all your crops could be ruined. And that was up till relatively recent times, and still is true in many places. And so here, what we have is we have prosperity. But we also have the fear that maybe the prosperity won't be, but I have to be in the moment. I have to be right here, right now, where I see the prosperity, where I know my abundance, where I claim my abundance, and I don't talk myself out of it. Because with the balancing of everything, it could be like, well, how am I going to balance this? How am I going to embrace my wealth and embrace my tenacity and embrace my understanding and call forward what I need and what I desire, and everything has to go everywhere else, and I always need somebody to help me, but there's nobody ever there to bail me out. And you see that kind of manic, scared energy starts to come in, and it will kind of be very easy for that to take over. And we have to say no. It's kind of like watching Sesame Street. I do this with my nephew, and one time I was so mad. I just got off the phone with a company, and I was just livid at them. And Big Bird said, if you get really mad, you put your hands on your tummy and you just breathe. And I thought, thank you. And I just needed that at that moment to be able to balance myself. And so here, if you get really mad, you put your hands on your stomach and you breathe. Connect with your breath. Connect with the balancing of yourself, with your prosperity and your wealth and your abundance. Because life can throw us out of that balance, can throw us out of the moments of joy, can throw us out of the connections with our hearts. And that's okay, because that's what life is supposed to do. It's supposed to test us. It's supposed to be uncomfortable at times. It's supposed to be beautiful at others. But we'd never appreciate the beauty if that was the go-to state. And so here, we need to balance. We need to balance ourselves. We need to balance what we are given, what we give, and how we move forward, because that's what makes us a king. A king is not somebody who's taken for granted. A king is not somebody who is ignored or who is, questioned and challenged. It doesn't mean that people will not question us. But what it does mean is that as I embrace my power, my wealth, my prestige, as I look at how I've been shaped, as I looked at how I cut away doubts and fears and negativities, I embrace who I am, openly, honestly, and beautifully. The King of Swords is the warrior king. And he is the King of Swords and the King of Cups. They're my favorites because they are the two of the most extremes. And I kind of like the extremes. The King of Cups is all about the heart and the soul and the self. And the King of Swords is the warrior. He is the one that says, I've been through it. I've walked through hell. You know, I've seen it. I've, you know, doubted, I've feared, I've overthought, I've underthought, I've done everything to make the mistakes. But now I claim my throne, my power, myself. Now I look at what I need and what I desire. And I do not let anybody hold me back. That's very much like the Emperor does. I do not let anybody hold me back because I see who it is that I am. And it brings us then to the Wheel of Fortune. It brings us to a new finding of wealth of self, entering into a new season, entering into a new understanding, looking at things more openly, more honestly, more courageously for us, knowing that things are changing, that, you know, kind of like always the quote of Plato, all is flux and nothing stays the same, is so intrinsically important. It guides us forward. It lets us see things more truly for ourselves, where we want to be, how we desire moving forward, what it is we need from ourselves and from others, because it changes. It changes as we change. And this is going to be a time where, again, we have the Wheel of Fortune and we have the Hangman. We see things differently. We are different than maybe even yesterday. And we can think that's a really bad thing. But why? Why does it have to be a bad thing? Why cannot this change be a powerful thing? It is a change of the heart. It is a change of the way emotionally we might be responding to things. It can be an opening up of our eyes, a claiming of power, an understanding, a finding something that just makes so much sense to us that we kind of go down this rabbit hole. It's opening up our skills and our desires and our minds and ourselves, and it brings us to what we love. It brings us to the Ten of Cups. And the thing is that when we describe happily ever afters, you know, we think of storybook tales. And they're so beautiful. And they all kind of have the same thing, where Prince Charming is met, the princess is swept off her feet, everything is beautiful, she's swept off to a palace. Does that always equal happiness? No, it doesn't. Actually, if you see in our modern world, you know, from Grace Kelly onward, it doesn't mean that. But what it does mean is that what we look at here is what makes us happy. Not what, you know, society is telling us would make us happy. We start to embrace our hearts. We start to say, what do I love? But what does that mean for me? What does happiness mean for the individual? Not for the collective, but for the individual. And so when we look at happiness for the individual, it can be, I love living in the middle of the city, you know, in the hustle and bustle of everything. I love living in the country. I want to see what getting sheep are like. I want to, you know what hiking these really great hike trails in the mountains is like, or learning how to ride a motorcycle. These are all separate things for us to learn and to say, this follows my happiness and this follows another person's happiness. This is the time where we really start to focus in our hearts on what brings us happiness, because that happiness brings us strength, and that happiness we need to call forward as the season changes, as we embrace a new understanding of self, a new power of self, a new determination of self and soul. And it moves us to the Page of Pentacles. And the Page of Pentacles, if you can see that, is this being a student of the moon, but of the changing of ourselves. And the moon is the changing phases of the human life, the human soul, of what we desire, of where it is that we want to be, of our insights, of our understandings. And we can see that when the moon is full, we think we have it all, right? We think it's kind of like when we think we figured it out, like the light bulb going off over our heads. And when the moon is new, it's that blankness, it's that emptiness, it's the creation of. And so here we are becoming a student of what brings us prosperity, of how we manifest our wealth, how we call forward the different changes of our seasons, our souls, ourselves, our desires, our wants, our wishes, and everything in between. It leads us to the Tower. In the public arena, things are changing, and these things are out of our control. They can be the simplest thing, you know, kind of like getting a new car, something that brings us tremendous joy, but now we have to figure out, you know, how do I drive this car? You know, how do I use all the gadgets? How do I figure out where everything goes? It doesn't come as easily or flow as naturally. It can be something as simple as that. Or it can be a change where I want to learn this programming, but I've never done this before. What if I mess up? Or, you know, this has to be so stupid. It's, you know, a time waster. No, it's not. If it's going to better you, if it's going to move you forward, then it's not a time waster. Or it can be something like the Tower. It can be, you know what? I've been listening and listening and listening to what people have to say about the betterment of my body. Now I'm going to try and listen to my body. I'm going to try and listen to the balance of myself, the harmony of myself, and see how that opens up the doors. I'm trying barefoot shoes and things like that because my feet hurt. And I'm thinking, you know what? If the muscles become stronger, then I can become stronger. And just for these past couple of days, I've been changing how I stand because I have really flat feet, and it's changing my whole body. So the Tower is pulling me out of my comfort zone, right? but in a way that's strengthening my body, in a way that's strengthening myself. The Tower is anything that pulls us out of our comfort zone, that pulls us out of our complacency and puts us in a place that makes us work harder, that makes us work smarter, that makes us open up our eyes. And sometimes we don't know how this comes about, but we know that it is there. And it brings us then to the Hangman. It brings us to seeing the world differently. Now, it can bring us to seeing the world differently because we start to question things and we start to kind of open up these doors and say, well, why not this? Why not go down this road? I've tried, like we'll go back to shoes. I've tried the ultra cushiony shoes. My feet aren't any better. Why not try this way? And so here with the Hangman, we can think, oh my gosh, I'm absolutely foolish. What the heck am I doing? But as we start to look at things differently, and as we start to embrace these different insights, these different understandings, we start to embrace ourselves more. We start to look at what we desire more and more. And we start to see that divinity talks to us, that it isn't always following everybody else that gets us to where we need to be. It's following ourselves and what's right for our bodies and what's right for our bank accounts and what's right for the way that we push ourselves forward. And it leads us to the energy that we have to be mindful of, and that's the Lord. So we have the Emperor coming in, because this is the Emperor in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck. We have the Emperor coming in as a very powerful, rooted energy for us. But we're also going to be very entranced and intrigued by people who possess power and authority, by people who talk as if they have everything figured out. And we're not going to realize that they don't. We're going to think, oh, wow, they do. I'm the poor schmuck, like wandering around in the dark, and they have everything understood. This is going to be a time where we can easily be taken in by the confidence of others instead of the competence of others. And that's going to be the trickiness that we have to understand. It moves us to our subconscious chakra message, which is communication, the throat chakra. We can find that during this time we might get sore throats. We might get a little bit of a cold. We also might find that with the throat chakra, we're not communicating the way we want to, or the way that we need to. We might find that we kind of keep things to ourselves. I don't want to upset the apple cart. I'm going to balance me, try to get me okay. And even if I have to be out of balance, that's okay. Other people are going to be happy. Other people are going to be content. No. If you're out of balance, other people feel it. Okay? And we don't want to blindside people and say, oh, I've always been upset. And they look at you and be like, but you've never said a word. Like, how the heck was I supposed to know? Communicating with ourselves, with what we want, communicating with others, also knowing that sometimes when we communicate, we can be communicating on multifaceted different levels. So we can be reading the person's kind of like aura energy, vibrational energy, the past conversations and the anger, the frustration, the joys, the elations that they bring in to this conversation that they're doing subconsciously. And we can take that all in, and it can be a bit much for us. So do be mindful of that during this time, Libra. It brings us to our subconscious rooted energy, which is the Death card, Scorpio energy, but it's the dying away of the old self, the rebirth of the new. If we're born on the cusp with Scorpio, we're going to see that this is about transformation very profoundly, or if we have Scorpio within our chart. This is about our transformation. This is about understanding that the season is changing, and we have changed with it. We're not the same person we were when we started this journey, and that's not necessarily a bad thing. And as we kind of mourn who we once were, we start to embrace the power of who we are today, or the knowledge that has been hard-earned and well fought for. It brings us then to our subconscious inner self, which is the Two of Wands reversed. We're going to want to find all the answers externally. It would be so much easier if they all were external. A lot of them are going to be internal and eternal for us. These are going to be truths that were true for us in past lives, that were true for us when we were growing up, and we're going to see that we're connecting more and more and more with our own selves, with our own authenticity of being, with our what is the right word? It's like homeopathic self. It's our natural self that is going to be so important. Our authentic self, the word is eluding me right now. Holistic, there we go. Our holistic self. And that's going to be very important for us to say, I see me, openly, powerfully, strongly. It moves us to our subconscious emotional self, which is the Six of Pentacles. Again, the Six of Pentacles. We can find that it's very easy to get out of balance during this time, to have other people's wants and needs surpass our own, other people's expectations surpass our own. We need to balance ourselves. That's going to be really, really important. Our subconscious public arena is the Knight of Swords. We not only are the king, but we are the knight. In the public arena, we're going to find it easier to be the knight, to be the warrior, to be the one who defends and stands up, embraces their voice, but also moves forward, saying, I'm in control of the story. I want the happily ever after. I want the joy and the happiness and the beauty, and this is what I'm fighting for. So in my heart, I am the king. I know I deserve this. But in the public arena, I'm fighting for it. With determination, with focus, with insight, and with ideas. Nobody's going to hold back my voice, and nobody's going to tell me no. And that's going to be really important for us here, Libra. All right. I hope this reading has resonated with you. I wish you nothing but light, love, peace, and happiness. May harmony always be with you, Libra. I'm sending loving, healing energy to each and every one of you. I love you all, and stay safe. Let's end this reading with a meditation, a clearing away of negative energy, a raising of our positive energy as we embrace the sun that shines within us, and as we let nobody extinguish or diminish our light. So take a nice deep breath in, exhaling whenever it feels comfortable for you. May you move forward in peace and in harmony, Libra.